So good morning, everyone, and welcome to our third annual 2021 Year in Review and Community Town Hall. And I don't know what the year has been like for you guys, but the general din and feeling here among the Coach Accountable team, we were all like, what, another one already? That may or may not be a reflection of how fast 2021 has gone relative to sort of the dragging on quality that last year seemed to have. So here's to another good year, and here we are again, and plenty of good stuff to sort of share with you and chat about as we sort of put a cap on another good one. I want to start with talking about like the webinar series. Thus far this year, we've piled on 5 more lessons that that we're really proud of. They kind of have a theme that Jacqueline sort of noticed. I didn't really notice this, and it certainly wasn't my intention as I was creating them every other month as the times went on. But there's a certain theme that really does kind of pervade throughout it. And that is, quite frankly and quite unapologetically, challenging you guys to do better. And I'll unpack that a little bit. You know, the one in February, we had wowing prospects into clients, which was the stuff of, hey, if you're going to actually book a getting to know you discovery call with someone, a prospect, there's so much more you can do to bring sort of creativity and impress them than the intro call itself. And we really broke down a whole process to that. And we've been delighted to hear how many folks have sort of implemented that and found that the whole process of having a system that people get to play with and interact before they even talk to you is a real win for having better conversions, and the cost per customer acquisition cost is well worth it and working out really well for folks. So that's a real treat. In April, we kind of went into the art of elevating something as pedestrian as we'll take notes about the sessions, and how you can actually make it a first-class product and valuable addition and souvenir that really locks in the gems from your series, and even have it be an inspired co-creation. So we challenge you to, again, sort of rethink what you're doing for session notes and how that can be so much more than just something that could be pedestrian otherwise. In June, we talked about, well, the sessions themselves can be more than sessions, i.e. the talking with folks, and through the lens of the 3 popular learning models, the visual and auditory and kinesthetic. Most coaching is very auditory in the moment, but there's so much you can do to sort of bring a more full, rich, interactive, documented, visible process to the act of being coached by you for a lot more results. Called things are more powerful. They last longer. They're more likely that clients are going to take it to their lives and produce real results. And in August, we broke down ways of being more accountable as a coach. Really look at, well, what is it for you as coach to be accountable? So much of coaching and what makes it work for your clients is they have to show up to the process. They have to honor their commitments and follow through on the things they created. And we looked at what it is for you to set the tone in a powerful way to sort of have them rise up to the sort of way of being that you're laying down, and how that can be such a boon to how people themselves both see and relate to what you're offering, and then how they show up when they're actually working with you. And how, again, the tools of Coach Accountable can help you do that as well, and be more accountable and more transparent and more results-based in ways that are utterly delightful, both for your established clients who get better results, and the prospects who are just checking you out and can see like, okay, this is the real deal kind of going on here. And then our last webinar in October, kind of almost capstoning it, we said like, well, okay, it does all these things. We need you to take a little time to actually take advantage of them and make sure that you're actually getting your money's worth out of having Coach Accountable at all. There's really a lot that it does. There's really a lot of ideas that are touched upon and features and functionality that Coach Accountable offers throughout these other webinars that are touched upon. So if you're going to get all those perks fully, you got to take a little time and know how to use it fully. To make that easier, we've added something under the top right user menu under help. If you click on explore further, it will bring up a nice little map that shows you specifically exactly what you have and have not done in the system. And so if you take a little time, if you haven't yet, take a little time to see what else is out there that you haven't even touched that might be a real boon to everything you offer for your clients and their rich experience being coached by you, as well as just running a better business where everything you do is more attractive and it's easier to close business and be a prosperous coach. So that's the webinar series this year, and I'm super proud of it. It again does come under that sort of label that Jacqueline astutely put in. This is really in many ways challenging you to be better. And I hope that, like any good coaching relationship, you had the experience of perhaps being a little confronted, like, oh, I don't do that. Perhaps I should. Should I? Is that a thing? Am I less than I could be by not doing it? And get inspired to rise up and play with some of these ideas, as so many of our coaches have, to realize those wins. We hope that you found yourself challenged but elevated in your practice and how you operate with your clients for it. And with that, actually, I'm happy to say the webinar series is now complete. We've done this cadence of a routine thing every 2 months with more lessons coming on that really, at this point, I'm proud to say it's all there. When it comes to you guys running a better business and you guys creating a more rich and results-based and more effective program and experience that your clients themselves get with working with you, check out the series. Everything I have to teach about how to fully leverage CoachAccountable and have certain ideas that really have your coaching be more than the conversations themselves. Check it out. I'm delighted to say everything I want to share with you and impart with you guys is there. Looking forward, will we have more webinars? Probably. There'll be some other, maybe some of the lessons will come on. We'll announce those as there, and other fun things for us to get together as a community. But for now, the webinar series is complete. Check out the archives. There's some great stuff there that, again, a lot of our coaches have said, this stuff is really working for me. And I hope you guys get similar advantage in those two fronts, those two big umbrella concepts of running a better business and giving your clients more. So let's check out some highlights of what we added to the system in 2021. Some really cool stuff that I'm really proud of. First and foremost, perhaps most visible, is we got a more modern design. Version 4 looks pretty good, but we added a little oomph and finesse and almost I don't even know how to describe it. Maybe it's more modern. It's all in the eye of the beholder, but it seems to be that people really liked it. And man, I'm so glad I took a little time to, shall we say, borrow from the greats and stand on the shoulders of giants and basically make CoachAccountable be what you and your clients are expecting it to look like. And a nice little fun twist to that is we got dark mode, which is also kind of fun, kind of pretty, kind of, again, meeting people where their tastes are and giving people those options. Added calendar sync via email, which makes it dead simple for your clients to, from the get-go, with no setup step on their part at all, automatically get email attachments, which will automatically add to their calendar, removing even more friction for clients. They can still sync their calendar, but now that takes it off the table of what you got to tell them to do, and it just works right out the gate, including folks who just book whatever discovery sessions with you from your offerings. We added also unlimited availability splits. It's not a big deal, but you can make your availability typical or specifically done for a date range or an appointment type as complicated as you want, and carve out individual slots to make your day just the way you want it. It's not a big deal, again, but what it does constitute is that the gap between CoachAccountable's appointment scheduling capabilities and virtually every other commodity schedule out there is getting real narrow. And that's kind of cool, because in that whole quest of I really want CoachAccountable to be all things for all we do, where we can make that happen, that's a total win for everyone. And certainly the appointment scheduling game is key to running a coaching business and the logistics with your clients. So that's that. We also made some massive improvements to courses, bringing them up to sort of more par of what other folks expect from other learning management systems. The course pages allows you to sort of have a nice consolidated view of all course materials in interactive and progressive fashion. Let your clients work through whatever your course workflows are going to be, instead of having the action or the items of the course strewn about in the various sections. Also enhancing courses was the stuff of thumbnails and card display and progress meters. Again, a little more sort of pretty visuals and bringing up the beauty of what it is to have the whole collection of courses that you can offer your clients and have them working through them and see where they're at and see it with a certain eye candy that makes it look compelling. We added company engagements, not much to say there, but all the things that you can do with engagements of having an allocation of appointments and invoicing and a scheduling thing that can be now done at the level of companies that you're working with, in addition to individuals that you're working with. Worksheet answer comments is kind of a nifty thing. Nobody asked me for this, but I love the sort of new behaviors that it allows you to sort of be high touch and in the world and responsive and giving detailed feedback to your clients. Now, when people fill out their worksheets with you, you can quickly go in and add comments quickly on individual items themselves, which allows you to be that very laser focused supportive presence for your clients. We also added client present mode, which is a nifty way for you to sort of, in an elegant way, with confidence, share your screen with your clients. Much of what we broke down in the session on elevating, or in the webinar on elevating session notes to an art form, having it be a nice collaborative co-creation is a really powerful thing. So if you can share your screen and kind of do work with your clients while you're there with them, and create action items and hammer out, and capture those gems, those distinctions, this is a wonderful way by which to do it. Offerings restrictions, just a little extra oomph to offerings that allows you to sort of set limitations on how many people can register and when the offering is available. Allows you to do kind of fun things like for a limited time only thing, or hey, I'm creating a mastermind and it's only available for the first 8 people who register. Things like that are now possible. And coach actions in the world of, again, helping you guys be yourselves accountable and showing up powerfully and always on the ball for your coaches, for your clients. You can set up actions for yourselves and get the same exact benefit of existence, called seeing, okay, what do I got to do for whom and by when, and notifications to keep you on track too, helping you show up powerfully. Finally, 2-factor authentication, basically exactly what you would expect for you guys as coaches, as well as your clients. Anyone can sort of just tick a box and check, yes, I'd like to have 2-factor authentication on my account for that extra bit of security. Happens via SMS. You have to have a cell phone in the account, and then you're just good to go. It works as you'd expect. Kind of a nice thing. And a whole lot of other stuff, just like UI candy, making things more elegant, making things more seamless, making things more flexible and fluid for team configurations and API stuff. It's all a bunch of good stuff, and I hope you guys have enjoyed it. We've been having a lot of fun, being super responsive and receptive to the various needs that folks are expressing in terms of, oh, it'd be really great if it could do this, and it'd be perfect if it could just add this thing, and oh, I've got this little use case. If we can support it, if we can elegantly weave it into the whole what we're going for with the platform, we've been happy to do it time and time again, and there's all kinds of good stuff that came about from it. So in summary, it continues to be our pleasure to make CoachAccountable an even nicer and more powerful platform for y'all to your benefit. Yet again, it's sort of a common refrain that I'm proud that we have year in, year out. So here's the game of making things better and onward and upward, that whole continuous improvement thing. So let's talk now community town hall, Q&A, as we often do. Tell you what, there's been something that I noticed about this year's submissions. We got, as you guys probably know, we send out the call as we have in previous years. Hey, what do you want to talk about? What's on your mind? How's CoachAccountable working for you? What would be better? What would you like to see in the coming year? And we didn't get a whole lot. And the few that we did, there were some common themes. That really describes the majority of what I got for the sort of, submitted comments and questions for the thing. And actually, there were so few people who weighed in, I can't even call them common themes, but I'll call them familiar themes, because there's certain themes that, have been asked over the years, now and then. Again, it's not the most major thing, but since it's basically the lion's share of what we got for feedback this year, these familiar themes are worth presencing now, and just sort of addressing to speak to what there is. One of the familiar themes that we have, a couple of folks this year again expressed desire for a real app, as in something that you and your clients have to go find, download, and install from some app store and have the little install on the thing. The thing on this is, it's still kind of a non-starter, because today this missive still holds up. That's a big old URL, but if it reads pretty well, it's kind of a novel into itself. But there's a lot of reasons why we're not doing an app. And the biggest one that folks really want is, well, if we had a native app, then we could do those whole app notifications things and have those like scary red circles with the number to say, hey, you've got stuff to do, because they're not paying attention to the emails and the texts, or they can't be bothered with those other 2 channels. And the reason why I'm not going to do that is because, again, my coaching on this one is, if they're ignoring notifications that CoachAccountable is sending concerning your appointments, concerning action items, promises they said they would do, concerning, hey, it's time to track X, Y, or Z. If they're going to ignore SMS and email, they're going to ignore the red dot too. That is much more powerfully addressed upstream, because we're all about having people's participation be something that they actually look forward to, that they actually relate to as useful. If it's just coming through as other noise, adding another channel of communication isn't going to help that too terribly much. Also add in the whole thing of, again, it's something you have to install versus it just works. It's something that would have to be branded generically as CoachAccountable versus when you install it, because you can install it, it's branded with your icon, with your app name. All these things usually stem the tide of that desire. And if you haven't read it, if you're curious about why we don't have an app, if you're curious and think like it might be cool if CoachAccountable had an app, please give this a read and all will become clear. Most folks who read it come to agree like, okay, I can see why, and yeah, this is better the way that it just works in browser, and the trade-offs are worth it. So another familiar theme that came up this year is the stuff of like, hey, wouldn't it be cool if CoachAccountable could have sort of a website builder or something that can build landing pages and sales pages and all that sort of thing. And this one too is, it comes up now and then, the desire, and I get the desire to have one system to do all the things, but website builder is such an intricate can of worms into itself. There are so many platforms that do it, and the dividing line between where CoachAccountable ends and where your website begins is best done where the messy, glorious, creative land of website creation, free in this freestyle way, that's the best way to do it. What we do to help this though is make little widgets that are the like heavy lifting, meaty CoachAccountable widgets and functionality, super easy to embed on your website using your creator, your WordPress, your Wix, your Squarespace, your OneHub, your all the things. So you've got options there, and it's really nice to actually be able to build a sales or landing page with even a menu of things using offerings and offerings collections. Some combination of there allow you to create your own flows, your own creative mojo in a way that CoachAccountable trying to be its own little website builder, sales page builder will never be able to match. We want to keep that sort of creativity in your hands. And so that again is one of those things that we get asked at and got asked about for this year again that we're not doing, and those are the reasons why. Another familiar theme is the request for more sort of gamifications like medals, stars, etc. On this one, I just don't want to go down the direction of sort of gimmicky graphics, right? As it is right now, CoachAccountable has as sort of a core strength of it is like, here's the deal, here's the game, here's what's done, here's what's not, here's where you're above target, here's what you're not, here's the trend line. Those progress meters, those lists of what there is to do, those metric graphs, those are that sort of visual gamification. If you need more, my concern is that your clients might not be into enough whatever games or structures they're creating. If badges seem like they're going to make the difference, they might not. And again, going more upstream towards, well, what would make this game worth playing is going to be a more powerful, effective, leveraged way to get your clients engaged than all the shiny icons of gamification ever could. On this one, we do have the webinar on coaching a metric, where we really go into the idea of creating a winnable game, one that's worth playing. And again, once you actually smartly create the game with someone and truly have their buy-in and enrollment, gimmicks like gamification aren't that important. And so it's really important to, again, make sure that what you're creating with folks is itself inspiring and worth doing and playing itself. Another thing we hear now and then is ways to use CoachAccountable for certain kinds of clients, but not have them be real clients. Hey, I've got some prospects. Hey, I want to sell a digital download. Hey, I would like to have maybe a one-off client session that we can sell and not have it count. Totally get the desire to have sort of the power and functionality of CoachAccountable and not have to pay for it. But that's not the point. If you need, again, general purpose scheduling and you're not doing all the things that CoachAccountable can do to make that more rich and featureful, there are other platforms for that. What's more interesting to us to empower you guys to have powerful businesses and make really great outcomes for your clients is to go all in full out with what CoachAccountable offers. So sort of like limited hack workarounds, second-class citizen sort of client experiences, not really what we're going for. Again, this kind of harkens back to what we said about in the webinar on wowing prospects and clients. If you're going to have someone actually engage with you in a meaningful way where they're paying for a limited experience or engaging with you for a prospective session, it really behooves you that the math is on your side to make that experience as dynamite as possible, because that impacts they're willing to say yes to becoming a paying client at all, you will be net so far ahead than trying to sort of skimp by with a skimpier experience. So what to make of all this? Again, it was sort of surprising that the feedback we got was little, and what we did get was sort of scattered. Like, again, not too much resonance, not too much sort of harmony about what is really wanted and what is really the thing. What to make of this? Well, in a way, again, it's kind of a good sign. I think it's a really good sign in that it suggests that there's a real super majority of y'all out there for whom it's working. It's going well. There's not too much for me to want. The things that are wanted are the stuff of going really off the path of what CoachAccountable was really meant to be, which means that the thing we're actually solving for is working. And I'm delighted by that. So there's it's not to say that CoachAccountable is all buttoned up and a complete work. I'll share with you a tale of humility. In this space about last year, there was one of the bits of feedback was this: I would love to know why calendar invites can't be sent out. The subscribe to calendar thing just doesn't work for me. And I said, they can be, but there are caveats. And at the time we had, hidden under a feature flag, but we could turn it on for specific accounts. Yeah, you can have the ICS, that little attachment calendar invites go out to everyone, but it doesn't quite work well when you cancel, and not all the email clients handle it. If you reschedule it, does it actually move in their calendar? Well, humbly, I had it wrong. And I ironed out all the kinks in this. So this year, it's like, just a couple of weeks ago, we launched it as a first class feature where it's truly ready and truly robust in all the ways. And so sometimes when I shy away from a technical thing, I might pick it up again as a worthy addition for CoachAccountable and way to go. And so it can go that way. Things can change. But for the most part, you can be rest assured that we'll never ever veer from the real core mission, which is to elevate coaching itself. We're always looking for what's actually going to make you guys better and more effective as coaches. Amid that, there's some things that, this many years in, we're still really proud of. Delighted that here in 2021, that's still the fact that CoachAccountable bugs are few and far between. They don't last. If you ever find one, unlike, at least as my experience dealing with other apps and other companies, it will be acknowledged quickly. It'll actually be fixed quickly. And if it was in any way impactful, we'll probably even give you a credit on your account with a, hey, thanks for bearing with and thanks for the heads up. It's really delightful to keep the sort of ship-shape workingness of the platform really nice and intact. And I've heard enough stories that it ain't the case necessarily on other platforms. Speaking of what else isn't also necessarily the case from other platforms, we never lost anyone's data. And I heard another platform lost people's data, and that's rough. So yeah, it's nice to still be on top of things. We're still proud of remaining super accessible. You can talk to us. You can book time with me or Jacqueline or Morgan, and being, showing up and being present with the community remains an absolute joy. And in that same sense, we remain super receptive. We don't say yes to all the ideas, but man, we keep hearing great things that are really consistent with and what would make it just a little bit nicer. And we keep making those things in. And perhaps what we're most still proud of is the bringing it all home, the real point of it all, which is to enable you guys to be better coaches, to be that supporting platform, to have those supporting structures that allow you to show up powerfully for your clients. So here's to the important that you guys all work that you guys all do with your clients. You make the world a better place, and it's deeply our honor to be operating for another year in support of that. So looking ahead, well, there's still more creative works to come, even though, again, I've sort of alluded to, boy, there's not a lot of things that people are saying we need to do that's actually, in scope of what we're trying to accomplish. We've got a number of great features that are on radar, and we're excited to create and launch for you guys to make things even better. So the well has not yet run dry. And we're still having fun, and that we hope that you guys are too on this journey with us. So there you have it. I open the floor now for any sort of questions. I've sort of said my piece and sort of, riffing on what we got for feedback, but open town hall for anyone who's got things on their mind. Anything I've said, anything otherwise.
John, here I am, Shurumbo, of course. Who else?
Hey, Shurumbo. Always good to hear you.
It's awesome. It's awesome. I'm still loving Coach Accountable. It made me think that I would love to be inspired by the ingenious ways that other users use it. So maybe in the future you could host a webinar with some user cases or something.
Mm.
That would be cool.
Yeah, like I said, the webinar series or the formal sort of set of topics every 2 months, that I deem complete. And I suspect we'll have other occasions to hang out as a community. So I love that you're into it. As off the case that I say, and I hope that your experiences that I make good on this promise. Stay tuned.
Definitely will.
Right on.
Hi, this is Nick Cormus. I have a quick question. Why is each client or company limited to one engagement? There are several different packages that I offer that might build on each other, and it would be nice to be able to just go in and add a package to a company. I mostly deal in companies as opposed to individuals, and it'd be nice to be able to add like a package to their already existing, and so that they're getting invoiced and whatnot.
Right on. So correct me if I'm wrong, Nick, you actually can add multiple engagements to a company. That's a thing, because company engagements do have the ability to specify which clients from that company are in this one, so you can have which one on that one, and you actually can do the kind of fraught thing, which is having the same client from the same company in multiple engagements. That's one of those, you've got enough rope.
That's news to me, because I thought I had submitted that previously, and it was still only one engagement per client or per company.
It's multiple per company, but it's one per client, and I'll unpack for you why, though, because it's a really legit question. This is a design decision that I'm not married to, but there's something that is, shall we say, fraught if you're going to add the same individual. And that's again why I mentioned about like it could be difficult with in the same company adding the same individual. There's not a lot of, you can have a confusing state where it's not clear which engagement a given client appointment should apply to. That's the only reason. If you need to work around it, know that you might be disappointed or confused, or it may seem buggy because the appointment that you thought would go towards this allocation goes towards that allocation. So that's the reason for that. But if you feel really inclined, there's one hack that you can do, sort of. A client who comes in via an offering will always be added to the engagement that offering entails. And that goes for existing clients. So you can do, you can have your existing clients sign up for an offering, and that'll put them in the second engagement. The reason for that is it forces that discipline of like thinking through to make sure that you're clear that whatever happens under the hood with which appointment goes to which. If you do it right with the rules of the engagement, as in which type of appointments apply and which don't, you can make it clear and unambiguous. So that's in the design that you can do.
Okay.
A whole wall of words. How's that?
No, that's helpful.
Very cool. Great question. Yeah, it comes up now and then, and that's the standard answer. And if the community wants to say, yeah, John, let us add multiple, we'll deal with the fallout of which engagement counts or which offering appointment calls to which offering.
Right.
I'll entertain that conversation, but that's the why. It's not meant to like totally hamstring in a way that's just darn right inconvenient. It'll support it, but it's fraught.
Yeah. My other question was around group scheduling. I mean, I know it would be a heavy resource load for your system to be pooling calendars of multiple individuals, even if they're all synced. But it is something that comes up for me quite frequently if I have a group of 3 that, we need to schedule something. I'm still essentially doing it the old-fashioned way of saying, hey, when's everybody available? And then I go in and put the group appointment into the system, and it appears on their calendar. Right. And so the back and forth, it would be nice, if clients could self-schedule and then just, and it would compare with my availability, but then at least put it on the other's calendars, even if it's not pooling their availability. If the client selects, hey, I want this time with Nick, and then it just automatically appears on the other's calendar, that kind of thing.
So you're talking about two things, actually. One of them is, that I just heard you, is client being able to schedule a group appointment.
Right. It's two things. It's schedule. I mean, it's, pooling of schedules like you can do in Outlook when you're doing like an internal meeting.
Yep.
But even if that wasn't the case, where it didn't necessarily pool everyone's availability, maybe it's just taking mine and showing when I'm available and letting the client schedule for his or her whole group and have it sync to their calendars, even if there's a conflict.
Right on. Yeah, actually, I mean, if clients have their appointment or their calendar synced, and that's actually one of the reasons for the recent addition of calendar invites. Turns out that it was an uphill slog to get most clients to actually
sync their calendars.
Yeah, if your clients actually bother, that actually does open up a possibility for doing, like I said, the group intersection of everyone's availability to find what works for everybody times. That actually wouldn't be computationally intensive, because if they sync their calendar, I'm just spitballing here. Yeah, the one architectural change, CoachAccountable's UI never asks to which calendars it should read from clients, because it's the model so far is that's none of CA's business. We don't want to be too intrusive, so we don't bother to ask, and therefore it's always they're kind of responsible for when they're busy. But if you're saying, like, adding client's availability, coach's availability is of course incredibly important. Client's availability is somehow important to the mix. Okay, that's under the hood, like all the nuts and bolts are there actually. So that's a possibility, and that's one that I'll be kind of listening for. You're the first person ever to bring that up as a thing. So that design decision of saying, like, oh, it's unilaterally all about the coach's availability. This is the first disruption, but probably not the last to that thought process. It made several years ago, frankly. Good stuff.
Yeah. No, thank you.
You're welcome.
Hi, John.
Hey, Nikki.
So my team loves CoachAccountable. So do our clients. Thank you so much for creating it.
Thanks. You're welcome.
So one thing that we've come across lately as a team is we all really utilize and add and love to organize our files. We have a ton of resources for our clients. And what we've bumped up against recently is when one person is in there organizing and kind of moving stuff around, it has let us do that, but then suddenly it doesn't hold and it all disappears. So we learned yesterday, I think from Morgan or Jacqueline, that the system shouldn't have been letting us move things around. So maybe that's the one issue. But my main request is we would love for us to be able to move things around, even if we don't own that file. Is there any way that we could that you can make that a possibility?
Yes. So that's funny. I fixed that bug earlier this week. That was you. Cool. Because I've now made it so that files you don't own, you cannot drag to move into other places, because the design is that only the owner can sort of move them around in the folder structure. Mm-hmm. And it sounds like that's a good fix, so that you won't be confused by like, I just dragged this and why didn't it stick? Apologies for the bug. Fixed within about 20 minutes of Morgan giving it to me. So the system was as advertised about 5 minutes ago. But to your second question, could they? Should they? That actually was a design decision that, again, I made. Haven't heard a lot of pushback, but now I see a case for it. So I could see adding, and without too much difficulty, and I wouldn't be opposed to this actually, which is a new administrative superpower called allowed to organize files even if they don't add them. And if that's checked, those are then kosher, shall we say. I dig it. I love
that idea. And maybe if somebody doesn't want a file moved, they can just, maybe there's a lock key. Like if you want to lock a file, like you do not want this one moved, you lock it or something. But I love your approach.
Right on. I love that you bring that up. And the little nuance of splitting hairs, the lock, is precisely why I just punted on the whole thing. If you don't own it, you can't move it, because that whole fine granularity is where it can get down the rabbit hole of not only, hey, is this buggy or is it working right? What's the expectation? it adds complexity to really get into the weeds for very niche cases. So I would probably be good with giving an admin superpower called I can organize all the files, but I wouldn't probably go so far as to allow per file overrides of even that, so that it becomes like a dueling tug of war of permissions and who said what with whom, right?
Right.
I always have to balance power with clarity and ease of use and hey, this works as expected. And sometimes, often, those are diametrically opposed. But I think that's the sweet spot that I would do. So
Okay.
early 2022, I suspect I could add that. It's a good one.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
Right on, Nikki.
Hey, John.
Hey there, Kathy.
How are you?
I am well.
Yeah, I can see your Christmas
Good.
tree is all set up and all of that. That's not in our household yet. John, I have a question for you. I know that you said that, gamification is not exactly something that you want to add on to the platform. And I love the platform. I think I'm one of your early users. I wanted to ask you, one of the things that I have noticed with people is that people are very excited when I define metrics of their development, and I do a lot of transformational development work with people. And they get very excited about that. They like the idea of going and rating themselves and all of that. And as you can imagine, in a journey of 6 months, there is ups, there is downs. And one thing that I use another platform for another company with my company clients. One thing that I notice is that if there is a way to like give them trophies when things go really well, people like that. Like in that platform, we just have like a cup, like a not a cup, yeah, the cup that you get when you have achieved something. The 1 to 3 person, like they have like they take actions, they have insight, and they have the cup. And I want my folks, I'm just suggesting, in this platform, because this is the platform I use with my private clients, to feel like they achieved something sometimes too, like visually, like that, have that visual in their mind that, hey, there has been times that I have had that trophy feeling. That feeling is a good feeling, John. So I wanted to see if you would consider things like that.
Well, actually, that's a great question. And the system pretty well supports that, because you can compose messages and upload images of any kind. So, and it sounds like you might have that sort of as a routine thing called like, hey, when anyone's doing something great, we want to give them the love message with the cup and the, whatever verbiage and message of congratulations. What I would do is create a whiteboard that has, shall we say, some of those templates with that image nicely uploaded into your gallery and inserted, and just the right layout and graphics to make it pretty. You can make it pretty, right? And then anytime you, as the coach overseer, again, there's that human element rather than sort of app business rules like logic dictating when the trophy should be awarded. When you see that that's appropriate, just do a quick copy and paste, put it into a message, save it to the stream. It goes to them in email as well as part of their client record. That little bit of congratulations is right there.
Okay, perfect. That would be great. Thank you, John. That was one thing. The other thing was that I haven't used your platform for my group, so my knowledge is limited. But one thing is that when I was adopting your platform, I think I adopted it like 3-4 years ago for my private practice, I was only dealing with one person. And I first had that demo client for myself. And I went and I played around to make sure what I'm giving to people, I know what I'm doing. Now, with the group, I asked the team a couple of times, they sent me a webinar. I don't know how I can experiment it before I open it like to 7, 8 or whatever number of people. I want to be comfortable before I do that with people, because the group structure is different from private totally. It doesn't have any of those things that I do with private people. So I wanted to get your take on how would we go about that?
Sounds like you want to dip your toes into using the platform for your group coaching experiences.
Yeah, but I want to experience it myself first of where I'm going with this before, like really experience it, not the
Yeah.
webinar only. Before I like invite like 7, 8 people. Hey, people, this is what we're going to use for our time together. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. This is where having a freebie client is clutch. And you can make a group with just one person and get essentially the feel of it. Playing around with it just like you do your freebie client on the one-on-one things.
Okay.
Give it a try. And to guide you in that, Morgan just put in the chat the webinar on groups, which will also give you some sort of building blocks of what kind of group experiences you can create and how to do it really well, and what sort of degrees of freedom you have to set up. What are people allowed to do? How does that play out, and so on.
Okay. Okay. I'll look into that so I can add it to my account and play with this based on what Morgan said, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. If groups is not turned on, just go to your My Account page under add-ons and click a button to turn it on, and then add your freebie client to the group and then play around. See what it's like to have a group message thread. Add comments on, post a message as client, post a messages as coach, add comments on it from email, from in-app, all those kind of fun things. And you should be, after an hour, maybe 2 hours of playing around some afternoon, pretty comfortable and confident about what you're getting people into with it.
Okay. Okay. Let me look into that. Thank you so much, John.
You're
And
most welcome, Kathy.
and nice meeting you. And thanks for all you do.
Right on. My pleasure. Kara, what's on your mind? I see you got her hand raised.
Hi, John. How are you doing today?
Oh,
It's so nice to finally talk to you. I've been using CoachAccountable. I freaking love it. It's been working really well for my clients. And I thought this would be a great question to piggyback off of the last question, because I am experimenting with groups. And I'm sorry about the noise in the background. I'm at a coffee shop.
no problem.
But I am experimenting with a group. Basically, these are women who are going through my one-on-one program, but I'm connecting them. I want them to use each other as resources. So I connected them through the group, but then some of them have now completed the one-on-one coaching program, the self-paced course and all that. And I don't want to like kick them out of the group, but we pay for each client. Like there's a payment for each client instead of it being a flat rate. So I'm like, well, and I don't want this to be sort of like a paid thing either. So I'm just like struggling. How do we, if the client is on our client list, but they're only engaging sort of in a group setting, just having conversations, is there a way for us moving forward to sort of put those clients who are just not getting like the full CoachAccountable experience after a certain point, make them so that they're like at a lower price point or something like that? Like, does this make sense? I don't know if I'm articulating it properly, but
You're articulating it well, and I'm afraid I don't have a good answer, because again, clients is a very binary thing. They're either full participants in the system or they're not. They can be read only, because you can deactivate someone so that they don't, counter a description plan and still have like access to the whole record and be able to like loop back with you. But if they're going to be active in any way called participating in a group, I'm afraid they do count towards your subscription plan. There's no watering down, because again, to be in a group means you can pretty much do everything, because there's no way to make a handicap group. I wouldn't create those sorts of things.
right.
Sorry
Yeah,
about that.
no, it's okay. I just didn't, someone mentioned in the chat, like, what about Facebook? I'm like, Facebook is like, no, it's so distracting.
It's a little bit of that, yeah.
Even saying it gives me anxiety. I start to break out in hives. So like, I don't want to put my clients on there, but at the same time, this is the platform, that group setting is so great. And I just don't want to have to pay $10 a person just for them to be in the group.
Well, if you're at scale, it gets down, of course, to more like 4 or 5. But what I would say is, and this is, again, take this with a grain of salt, because obviously I have a conflict of interest, like, yeah, keep them on, pay more money to me. Setting that aside, what would it be like to say, I get you said, I don't want them to have to pay for this community. But what if you basically position it like, this is a community worth paying for. I invite you to do it. And if they pay 10, 20 bucks a month, that you're fostering and facilitating something that is valuable in similar measure, certainly not the same, but similar measure to your one-on-one, so that the numbers work and you cultivate it as a paid community that is worth showing up for.
I love that. Yeah, I think that could work. So at least if I'm charging like 20 bucks, it pays for like 20 bucks a month. It pays for their for them to stay on, but then I can also just keep them engaged by saying that there's going to be a monthly prompt or a monthly, like, so that they feel, you know, like they're getting more value than just talking to each other. I can add something like that on there. That's a really great point. Thank you, John. I'm gonna map that out a little bit more and see. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Yeah, one extra add-on to that is, again, it keeps the relationship strong with that client, and so keeps the door nice and wide open if they're ready for the next thing to work on with you one-on-one again in the future.
Absolutely, and I am finding that's happening. I'm getting more repeat clients. So thank you so much. That's really
a hallmark of you doing things well. Good on you, Kiara.
Oh yeah, thank you.
You're welcome. Cheers. Lolly, you raised your hand. Hello.
Hey, well, I think that's a great idea, Kira, and I love that idea of, you know, in order to create a kind of a subscription space and make it easier for clients to kind of loop back. But I did want to mention a number of my coaching colleagues have been utilizing Geneva Chat. It's an app kind of like a Slack or a Facebook, but you create that space. And they've been having a lot of success with that app. I just thought I'd share that.
Thank you so much.
I threw it in the chat, but I just thought I'd mention that. Not that I want to get people off of CoachAccountable.
Here's the thing, you know, I'm not precious about it. There are so many apps and so many of them are tailor-made fit to certain use cases. And CoachAccountable cannot, and should not try to be all things to all people. So if Geneva Chat's where it's at for Kira's group, I'm for it. Whatever serves you in giving better coaching experiences, we're all about it.
Yeah, the thing is, John, I'm a productivity coach. So I am the person who wants them to stay on the one platform that's bringing me joy, because it's like going to simplify the systems. And it's like, you don't have to go to this chat for this and this place for this. And it's like, it's all in one place. So, but we talked about that via email. I'm like, I know that you don't want to be that, but please, for me.
I get the desire. Right on. Hey, Chip.
Hey, John, how's it going?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm good. Have you given any thought to adding a ability to tag appointments as not shown up so we can track that?
Tag appointments is a no-show. There's sort of a way to do it in engagements where you can designate counts and doesn't count. You know that one, right?
Yeah, but I need to be able to go back and pull a report it, because I'm pulling people on 20 people at a time to coach. So some are engaged right away, some aren't.
Yeah.
And we do charge our clients no-show fees if they, just flat out don't show up, and I got a coach sitting there waiting for them.
All right, on. This has been on my radar a little bit because there's.
And it's a weird thing because you'd want it not to update the engagement because they missed an appointment, but you want to be able to track the no-show.
Right on. So more further. I mean, to me, that files in my brain as like further splitting hairs on the status of an appointment, which currently has engagement status, counts, doesn't count, or neutral, not yet weighed in. And it also has appointment.
How do we mark doesn't count on the, when you go into the engagement itself? Okay, right. I remember.
And then there's appointment status itself, which currently has pending requests, canceled, accepted, declined.
Okay.
And now it's, I've thought about this, Chip, and now there's like a third designation called showed, didn't show, like sort of that third dimension of status-ness.
Got it.
Not opposed, because I hear, there's some use cases where I just kind of probably have to buck up and add that third classification of an appointment, and then have some certain math and reports and cool stuff fall out from there too. So
I just need by company to go, okay, you had 20 people coaching and then like 3 of them were no-show, and I got a coach waiting, and I pay the coaches a no-show fee because they're there ready to go.
Yep.
So I've got to be able to get that revenue back from my client.
Hey man, being able to track it is powerful.
All right.
Very good. Yeah.
Other than that, we're doing really well. We're scaling like crazy. So it seems to be we're doing well. So
good on you, Chip. Yeah, you were one of the folks actually who had the provisional calendar invite feed thing turned on way earlier.
Yeah.
And hopefully it worked well over the last year, and I'm happy to say it should work even better going forward.
Yeah, I was really happy to see it because I'm onboarding 2 more coaches. Like, oh, this is going to make life much easier. So excellent. I'm happy with that.
Onward and upward. I love it.
Thanks, John.
Very cool. You're most welcome. Lolly, you got your hand up again. I'm not sure if it was up from before or is it up newly?
From before, sorry, I'll take it down.
No problem. And I'll say to the whole group, oh, Leah, this is great. Hey, Leah, what's on your mind?
Hi, I am new to Coach Accountable, and I want to thank Morgan for helping me whenever I had questions, get everything set up. I am going to be a coach for our company, and we currently have 3,500 employees. So I'm getting ready to do our launch after the first of the year, and I'm super excited about it. The feedback that I'd like to give is that I think it would be fantastic to have community opportunities within Coach Accountable, just to hear these other coaches that are coming across, just to hear how they're using the platform. I heard Chip here say, hey, I'm bringing on multiple coaches, we're billing multiple companies. I would really love to add coaches sometime and have different offerings so to hear from somebody that's in the same space that I'm in. It may just open up hearing how they have structured their business and used Coach Accountable to leverage that. It could open up a lot of possibilities that maybe I just hadn't thought of before. So that community engagement part would be so beneficial, just to get to meet different people that are also using Coach Accountable. And if they're willing to share, and I get some people won't be, but that could also be an opportunity for us to communicate maybe offline when we're needing help, or just some advice on how to scale our business and what that looks like.
If I may, this is actually something that we are piloting in the new year. It's Jacqueline's pet project right now. So I'll let her say a bit more about it. We were actually like, do you think we should talk about that today? Do you think we should say something about it? Do you think we should pitch it? So, Leah, your check's in the mail. Thank you. Appreciate that. We are, and for exactly that reason, there has been a clamoring of, we want to share what we use the system for and how we use it, and learn what other people are doing and learn from each other. And we're all about people learning from each other and seeing what sort of comes up and bubbles to the surface in this community. The other thing that we're doing as part of that is almost like office hours. So not all of you were with Coach Accountable. We did this, but when COVID first hit and we all sort of went remote and we all felt very disconnected from each other, we did sort of what do we call it? Like a water cooler kind of thing where we all just kind of hung out. We did it twice, and it was really nice to just connect with other coaches and just see is everybody okay? Like, is everyone okay around the world? And you're all kind of pulling your businesses to a different level and doing all these things and just sort of being there for each other. It was very powerful. So it'll be a little bit like that and a little bit like this, where it's just sort of open forum to come and ask questions, see what's going on. And it may be that's what the webinar series is morphing into, more of an office hours thing. And, John can show up when he feels like showing up and, show some things off if he's got some new things. And otherwise just, you can all come hang out. So Jacqueline, over to you.
Thanks, Leah and Morgan. So yeah, we had this idea, and then I just did a full-on outline that we use a term in Coach Accountable, within the Coach Accountable team, called dog fooding. So we like to use what we're teaching you. And I actually had a hand-holding this morning, and a topic came up on how best to use whiteboards and groups. And I'm like, interestingly enough, I'm with you. I'm like in this trench with you and looking at both ways. And that's really what the community is going to be about. It's going to be held within Coach Accountable. You're going to be in Coach Accountable with us. You're going to be in a group community with us. You're going to be learning from each other. You're going to be learning from us. So as of right now, today, currently, if you have a question, you can access the amazing resources in your account. You can click the light bulb. You can get a knowledge base article. You can click the email us, and it's going to go to support, and Morgan and I or John will be able to answer your question. But what we found is we're answering a lot of the same questions. And some of the questions is, hey, I really need it to do this thing. It doesn't do this thing. Will it do it? And it's like, actually it does. Here's how to do it. So we're doing a lot of how to, and we're doing a lot of replication of answering. And so we thought it'd be productive and efficient and neat that once you sign up for a Coach Accountable account and you're in there, that you're kind of going through a community of sorts of discovery, proper utilization, optimal utilization, and also learning from one another, and having us, in that group with you, answering on the stream and using it as a client and as a coach, with you having your coach account and using it as your client. So it's a full circle, like full picture of efficiency and optimization.
I know.
So if you want to be a part of it, basically, at this point, we don't have a sign up link yet. We're launching this in January. So email one of us, Morgan at CoachAccountable.com, Jacqueline at CoachAccountable.com, or support at CoachAccountable.com, and we'll get you set up with, just a couple of basic questions and things like that, so that you can participate if you're interested in spending a little time piloting this with us. So thank you.
Anyone else? Everyone's been so civilized to raise their hands, but I assure you it's not required. Blurting out works just fine.
One more quick thing. This is Leah. I think that's great what they're piloting and bringing out. I think it would be awesome to utilize the town halls as that opportunity for people to share with each other the business side of things. I think it would also be cool, maybe if people would be willing to share, like I would be willing to help any other coaches in this space with their business ideas and things of that nature. So I would be open to sharing, hey, here's my name, my phone number, my email address. Here's the space that I operate in. If anybody, needs assistance or wants to bounce ideas off each other, like feel free to reach out to me. So maybe other coaches would be willing to do that as well. So we could be in community that way, where we could reach out individually as well.
Leah, great, because that was going to be one of my first questions to the community as piloting. Would you like to have an opt-in directory turned on for the group? So we'll be utilizing that Coach Accountable feature within Coach Accountable.
Yes.
Leah, okay, so that, I don't know how much we have to add to that check in the mail, Morgan. I'm sure you'll work that out.
Well, you're answering all my questions and you've already thought of all of this, obviously. So thank you.
Brilliant.
If I may, my observation on that, this topic of community sharing of best practice is something that's come up very frequently for over a long time. It's terrific. Thanks for listening, Jacqueline. Wish you all the very best in kind of piloting, leading that. I've just sent the email you've requested. Yes, please, for active involvement. John, I've been really interested to hear that your sense is that the webinar series has run its course. I've commented before. One of the most significant values of involvement with Coach Accountable is the training we get from you and the team in coaching best practice. It has fundamentally shifted my focus to have metrics at the heart of everything. Where's the evidence of outcome? It's had a profound impact on my coaching conversations and client relationships. So the idea that there's now a kind of morphing from where things have been to where things are going sounds entirely appropriate. The thought that there might be, for instance, and whether this is just to perhaps be on the roadmap, Jacqueline, for your project, the thought that there might be a regular, recurring town hall kind of catch-up water cooler that was in the diary, and therefore a protected time where we could pitch up and share ideas, share experiences, ups and downs, whatever. Absolutely super. We all know it's a terrific platform. We all know that we're using a fraction of its potential. So great to hear that. Best element of John, it was super hearing about all the updates. But this component has been for me the most encouraging element. Thank you very much.
Wonderful. On that note, it's a pretty good note to end on. Hey guys, not a bad year, 2021. Hope you guys have a wonderful holiday season, a wonderful new year, and we look forward to rocking with you and supporting you as best we can, as best we know how, and as best we continue to invent and innovate and all that good stuff in 2022.